All right, this is the last day at Fine Arc. This is Thomas and his Miata, which used to be a Formula D car and is now a Drift Week car. Let's see how long I can keep this up. This video is brought to you by BC Racing, ECU Master, and Y Plate Imports. I can't believe I'm breathing hard. Thomas, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. All right. There you go.
Thanks. Nice and cold.
Okay. So how am I breathing hard off juggling? That's ridiculous.
It's a sport.
Okay, this Miata is absolutely ridiculous. I met him out in Atlanta recently. He was killing it on track at Atlanta Motor Speedway. This is a V8 set. Why don't you talk? Tell us. I'm gonna squirt water in my mouth.
All right, so this is a V8 swapped LQ9 Jericho 4-speed dog box, winner's quick change rear end car that was a retired FD car from Jeff Abbott, ran in 2010 and 2012.
June had a big mistake and then he passed him.
There you go, back to the action. Here we go, Jeff Abbott. Jeff Abbott Racing, Mazda MX-5 going against Dennis Bertanis, Koenig Wheels, Kenda Tires, 240SX. Another Formula Drift rookie, Jeff Abbott. Dennis Bertanis has been competing in FD for a couple years now. Jeff Abbott, man.
Here we go, Jeff Abbott's going to lead. Dio Shihara's going to give chase. Is he going to be $10,000 richer? Is he going to be closer to that 2011 championship? Been competing now for 8 years. Dio Shihara trying to push hard against a fierce competitor, Jeff Abbott. Dio Shihara a bit shallow on that front clip as Jeff Abbott with a shallow line, but look at the angle from Jeff Abbott. Pouring it on here in the crossover. A bit off that rear clipping zone as Dio Shihara applying the pressure. Make some noise for Dio Shihara and Jeff Abbott.
It's basically been completely redone since I bought it. I've been drifting it for the last 7 years. This chassis has been drifting for the last 16.
Yeah, I mean, like, this has got to be the worst car to bring on Drift Week.
Oh yeah.
It's good on the track, but probably terrible on the street, like awful on the street. They're driving around with ear muffs and stuff. How loud is it?
So we measured up to 105 decibels and we're cruising right around 100 inside the car.
That's not even legal to be on tracks places if you could measure it like at that.
Right.
I mean, just like the cruising sound is enough to kill you.
The cruising is horrible. We're cruising right around 3,200 RPM, right around 80 miles an hour, and we're getting about 12 mpg. But yeah, we need earplugs, earmuffs, the whole nine.
So how far does it go on a tank of gas?
We get about 120 miles per tank of gas. So we have to stop every hour and 15 minutes, every hour and a half.
So that means you have to carry fuel or else you'll get stranded somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So this is a Miata with a trailer that gets 12 miles to the gallon and is crazy loud. It's the worst street car. Why would you do this to yourself?
Well,
because I said you couldn't bring anything but a Miata?
I have another car and it would have been much nicer, but I am Thomas Miata, so I gotta stick with my guns there.
And we specifically chose him to represent the Miatas, but it's the least Miata thing ever. It's basically a Camaro.
It's just a little mini NASCAR underneath it, essentially.
And it's a dog box?
Yep.
So it's a dog box, it's a quick change?
Yep.
Oh my God. And it's a truck motor V8?
Yep.
That is the least Miata thing ever, especially with the whole trailer and stuff. How does this thing drive down the road with the trailer?
It's actually pretty good. So I made sure to spend a little bit of time getting the wheels balanced and putting decent tires on there. They were used, but still decent enough to get down the road. The trailer's in really good shape, the bearings are in good shape, and it's fairly smooth. I do have a new vibration now, though, since drifting it yesterday and having a little bit of a fender bender. Had a little bit of a tow issue, I fixed that. We'll see if that helps. But
how many laps did you get this weekend, or this week? We've done 2 events, or 2 days of drifting so far, and you've already done at least 2,000 miles of street driving.
Oh yeah, I'm right around 2,500 miles, and I believe yesterday I got something like 35 passes, and the day before that was probably something around 25. So around 70 passes over the 2 days. Yeah, so we still got 5,000 miles to go and countless number of passes, so it's gonna be crazy.
How long do you think the car's gonna last?
I'm gonna make it last the whole way if I can.
Okay. So you don't see anything like breaking? Because it's a lot of race car parts.
Yeah.
Race car parts don't typically like to be on the street so much.
Right, so I'm gonna make sure I change the oil in the transmission. Frequently, I've already done one change already, the 1,000 miles, and as well as the diff. I've been changing the engine oil frequently as well because we've actually had metal in the oil. So there's a chance the cam bearing's going. I've still got decent pressure. The lowest I'm seeing is still like mid 60s, high 70s. So we're just gonna keep sending it
At
till it
idle
goes.
or like driving or at full throttle or what?
It gets up to 100 psi at full throttle, but it wobbles around a lot. So you'll see it from
That is
75
a lot
to
of oil
100.
pressure.
I put the big spring in there. I'm not playing around.
Oh, weird.
But if it goes, I have the skills and the ability to swap this thing out in probably a half a day, as long as I have an engine. So.
And those engines are pretty cheap and stuff, and very plentiful.
Yeah, that one I got for $285. I pulled it myself from the junkyard.
So I was chatting with a bunch of drivers, and this trip can be very difficult, but at the same time, if you make it all the way through and you improve your car along the way, typically, we're right next to a dyno, by the way, your car is going to end up being better than when you started because you're sorting things out along the way. You're sorting out your cooling system, you're sorting out your alignment, you're sorting out your handling, you're just dialing the car in. And the G35 with that VR30 swap, it was barely, would do one lap as they got here. They're doing something like 50 flashes a day or something on the ECU, they said. They've already bricked an ECU, they've flashed it so much. I didn't really know that was a thing. I've heard about it, but I guess there's some firmware limit to some ECUs. I don't know anything about that. But their car is basically being developed on this trip. It's a new swap, they're developing it. This is an older car, so it's probably pretty well developed, but you're continuing to refine it. Are you finding that at all or no?
Yep.
Like the car's already so far along, you're like, we're not gonna learn anything.
I'm pretty much attempting to work on it as little as possible because I have to film and edit as well. So stayed up last night till about 7 in the morning editing the last video I just dropped and just trying to make as much use of the time as possible and still connect with people and network and things like that.
What's your channel?
Thomas Miata.
That's easy.
It's on the car.
Isn't it crazy? This is like next level. You're traveling you're gonna do over 5,000 miles by the time you get home.
7,500.
7,500 in a drift car that is like gonna liquefy you from the inside out. It'll probably 7 days on track, and you have to post on YouTube, find places to upload, edit, like interact with people, build your channel. Like it's a whole different level of like, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into? Is there any regret yet?
No, absolutely not. I had a little bit of regret on the first leg when I had to travel without the convoy. I was very nervous. I actually had to stop at FD first.
Yeah.
Because I had to go and help Wadman Drift run his Pro 2 program, and from there went to Arizona. So I had a little bit of an extra stop, and I was super worried about that leg. But we made it with no issues at all, and then we got hooked up with some of the crew at Drift Week, and now it's whatever. If something breaks, we'll figure it out. No problems.
Okay, so we have 7 track days. How many track days how many times do you fill the car up with fuel at a track day, typically? Like twice?
Right now, I'm usually about once. I ran out of fuel once yesterday.
Wait, I'm doing this. 1,700 divided by 120 to tank. No. Plus 8. He's gonna have to refill the tank on this thing 71 times. He has to refuel the car 71 times.
And that's if we don't do anything special, like go out and get photos out in the middle of the desert and stuff.
Oh, that's true. Oh my God. That was 120 miles per tank, 7,500 miles, about probably at least 8 fuels, like fill ups at the track over the course of all those track days. That's wild.
It's a lot of gas.
Man, the logistics of all this stuff, if someone were to properly tell you everything before you agreed to do it, would you have done it?
If I would, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I've basically had about 12 hours where I was like, I gotta just clear this with my wife and see what's up, and then I can't say no to something like this. This is an opportunity of a lifetime, essentially.
If you guys apply to the next one, Drift Week 3, one of the scams I pull is after I talk to you, I absolutely warn you, I'm like, this can be a hard trip. It's not cheap. It's hard. You might fail. I tell you about the bad parts, but I'm also like, you have 2 days to decide. I don't give you any more time to back out. I let the excitement build, and then I don't let you come to your senses and think about like do the math too much.
It's a good move.
Yeah, you have to decide, send in your entry fee, and lock in. For the first one, I actually didn't even like lock people into their entry fee so much, but there was a lot of excitement for the first one, so everybody did it. But like this one, if I didn't get their entry fee like immediately, I could see a fall off rate of like their wife gets involved, like maybe their parents step in and they're like, you shouldn't be doing this. Some like form of sanity can overcome it.
Well, I've been drifting for the last 7 years, and my wife basically said you have to drift more if you want to make it. So she was all for it. It's a long trip. I'm going to be gone for something like 28 days because of FD on both ends. But I'll be home right before Thanksgiving, and we'll make it work.
That is like a month.
Yep.
That is a month of drifting. whether it be watching it FD and helping, but still a month. Do your skills climb when you do that kind of stuff? Do you learn a lot?
Pretty much anytime I tandem, I'm learning.
But I mean, like working on the cars, traveling, everything?
Oh, so I mean, I've built this car myself, so I don't want to have to learn anything on this car. I just want to fix it.
Yeah.
So I'm down to learn. I love learning. I have been learning, improving my driving skill, obviously. I don't usually run this car so loose. I'm used to it being much more gripped up and just kind of flowing around the track and kind of dialing it back some, really, because I can go a little aggressive sometimes. So I'm just focusing on chilling out.
Well, what I was going to ask is, what did you learn so far in this month-long excursion? There's got to be some trick in an engine, some trick of setting up a car, some trick of being on the road.
I learned that I would choose to do a TR6060 or a T56.
Yeah? Why not a dog box?
Because it just screams at you the entire time, and the TR6060 can hold the power, and you're not shifting a whole lot anyways if your gearing set up properly. It would be much better for this type of experience.
How about the quick change? Would you keep that?
Absolutely. I haven't messed with it yet, but just the ability to put in a higher gear so that it's not so revved out on the highway so I can cruise at 80, that's been pretty beneficial. If you could swap diffs though, that's just as good.
You were at 3,200 RPM, so what were you before you swapped it?
I don't know, I never even tested
Oh, and
it.
you're at a 4-speed, that's right.
Yeah.
So I keep thinking, you know, T56s and stuff, 6 speeds, you're at 1,600 RPM at 100 miles an hour in a normal like V8 setup like this.
Yeah. I tried to put some really tall gears in there, like a 2.2, but it was just so tall with the trailer I could barely get the thing moving without stalling it going up even a slight incline. So it just wasn't practical, but I would have been cruising around 80 at 2,500 RPM with that gearing.
This is a Miata, and it's starting to get a bit far from a Miata. How much does it weigh? Have you weighed it?
The last time I weighed this car, it weighed about 2,750 with no fuel in it.
So this weighs the same as an S chassis, built the same as an S chassis.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of heavy parts in it, essentially. So.
It's got an iron block and everything. So is there any benefit to doing this tiny, tiny car versus like a bigger S chassis or something else? A Corvette?
I actually don't have a lot of experience driving S chassis. I have an E36. I love that chassis. I love the Miata.
Ooh, an E36 would be good.
Yeah, but that's my other car. It's the drift lift, 4 seats, cage, turbo LQ9 swap. So that's one I built myself as well. But this...
Oh man, that'd be way better for this trip.
I tried to tell you, man. It would have been great. It'd been nice just cruising.
But you can see now that we have so many BMWs and Corvettes that you're unique on this, and no one would notice you.
I agree.
So this
Plus,
absolutely...
Thomas Miata. You can't not bring the Miata.
But that pigeonholes you into a car. You should have called your like...
I love the
Thomas
Miata.
Drifter or something.
I love the Miata. I'm pretty dedicated to it.
Yeah.
So that's my Need for Speed Underground car.
Which is a better car? The E36 with the turbo and the V8, or the Miata with the V8?
I would say they're both really good. I love the Miata. I love the snappiness of the
Which would you rather drive on Drift Week?
The E36. Oh yeah.
So it's better.
It would be better for this, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not because of one track thing, so just because of comfort on the road.
Right, no, I totally get it. I'm just making a joke. That's my thing, is I make fun of all the things that cause you pain.
It's so pain. I've got a back pillow. I've got 3 pillows in this thing. An actual pillow, a butt pillow, and a neck pillow. It's not too bad.
Man.
And I have the seat reclined at a pretty good angle, so it's not too bad.
I saw a video earlier today of Austin. He's doing his cruise control. He jammed a stick on the gas, if you saw that, against his seat. Are you doing anything like stupid tricks like that while you drive down the road?
No, but
Just the pillows?
Denofa suggested using a lawnmower throttle cable and hooking it up. And I bought one.
You can do a bicycle one too.
Yeah, something like that. I bought one and was going to hook it up. I ran out of time and didn't bring it with me, and it's not that big of a deal. It's been fine.
My Humvee from the factory comes with a locking, twisting cable like thing. You just pull it out and lock it and just drive down the road.
Those only go so fast anyways, right?
Yeah, they're not fast. Oh, want to show us any details or anything?
Sure. I try to keep it basic and cheap. That's kind of my MO. My budget is 0 pretty much all the time. So I pull an LQ9 from the junkyard, put cam bearings in it, and I'll probably have to do that again. But just cam, valve train upgrade. Then I got a really nice Quartermaster USA triple disc clutch. And then the Jericho 4-speed, and then the quick change. And drive shaft shop axles, actually. So the driveline should be able to hold 1,000 horsepower, and I usually don't break anything in the driveline unless I'm messing up and hitting it with a hammer or something, taking it apart and breaking stuff, which I did during the prep for this. Really cheap eBay radiator, which could be part of my cooling problems. This is like a $120 dual pass radiator, and a lot of custom fabrication. I learned how to weld building a drift car, and the welds aren't the prettiest, but they still work.
Yeah. And the next one you build will be better.
Oh yeah. This was my first baby.
Does this always hold?
Yeah, you know.
Do you have to replace them? Because this is a lot of heat for zip ties.
They've been fine. I've got 3 on this side, 2 on that side, and then I've actually, the bracing down below actually keeps it pushed forward pretty good too. So, yeah, I mean, the only time I've had it break is when I crushed the whole front end in. You see that I've had to recut it all down in here and straighten it back out. My frame rails.
The back of this car was cut off too.
Yep. So the frame rails are still bent in the front.
Yeah.
I aligned this thing. The subframe's bent in the rear. Basically, I totaled it 9 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Completely totaled it.
I showed that in my other video where you showed us in the trunk and cut it off.
Yeah, so
Man.
just hit the wall, spun around, and then I fixed it, got back out there, and crashed it lightly again. So then I had 2 weeks notice to get it here. I have the nitrous, you're messing with that.
Yep.
But I don't have it hooked up for this trip. That would just be completely crazy.
Yep. And how many zip ties hold this car together, would you guess?
I probably have, I don't know, 100, 150 or something in there.
What's the most integral zip tie in the entire build, and what would happen if it failed?
Probably the radiators, actually, because
it'd fall back into the engine?
It would fall back into the engine and then take out the fan and probably take out the rad.
That's your backup right there. There's that hose holding it on.
Yeah.
But it might fold back.
Yeah, I try not to put zip ties in too many places that are super critical. So if I can weld it, that's usually what I'll do.
Did I already ask you what the most ghetto part of the whole car is?
Generally, the whole car is pretty ghetto. The whole car is pretty ghetto.
But we all have that one thing that we're like, man, I can't believe I got away with that, and it held.
Oh man, I don't know. Let's see.
There's people that, you know, ratchet strap their engines over because they don't have working motor mounts anymore.
They're solid. Those are solid plates to the frame right there. So that's not going anywhere.
This is an engine plate here.
Probably, you know what? The jankiest part of this car right now is the rear subframe, because I crashed it into the wall, it twisted the subframe, and instead of making a new one for the quick change, I had to cut the lower control arms and just make those adjustable, make a brace, and lock that bent subframe in place. So that's probably like the sketchiest part about the car right now.
I showed this in a previous video too. You can see that this does not become sealed at any point. Air just, you know, goes straight in this thing. So if it's cold out, it's cold inside. You want to show us your windows?
There are new windows currently.
Oh, so but they were zip tied in the other video. He just sets them in and zip ties the bottoms of them.
So we've pretty much just been putting them in there for when the car's parked, essentially. You don't need the windows in this thing. It would be so full of fumes, you wouldn't want to live in the car.
How much drama do the hot boys give you about this? Does anybody even talk to you about it or no?
I got 1 or 2 comments about the monster truck life. Yeah, I could have lowered it and put my other springs on, but the car was driving fine. I had plenty of grip in the Linos, and I just, like I said earlier, I want to do less work on the car and more hanging out and drifting.
You said you have 14K springs on the back, right? Yeah. I watched when you got in a wreck. Did you see the video that Brittany got?
I haven't seen it, no.
You're going, and when you transition, the car just instantly snaps around super fast.
I think I figured out why.
What was it?
It was in the front end, and then the wheel was hitting the body of the car.
Oh, okay.
There was a
that just stops
out.
that and rips it around.
So as soon, I believe right on transition, I was probably lightly left foot braking, but the additional grabbing of the wheel, because I put new fronts, you can see it's cut into the wheel right now. So, that's the wrong wheel.
Show us which one?
That's actually the wrong wheel. Never mind. Scrap that.
Okay.
But basically, it was cutting into the wheel right in here. You can still see where it was hitting on this tire here. So.
Are you just going to take a grinder and open that up a little bit?
I whacked it with a hammer real good last night. I spent about 20 minutes just going to town, so we're good for now.
Okay.
I think that's what happened.
What's your absolute favorite part of the car? Like the best mod someone could do to a Miata and like copy you on this. What's the favorite thing you've done?
That's going to have to be an LS. Miatas come with not enough power. And you can throw a little bit of nitrous at them, you can throw a turbo at them, but you're going to just waste your money. So go ahead and bite the bullet, put a real motor in that thing.
How many Miatas are like people are going to piss off for that comment? Because you are the Thomas Miata guy.
I don't care.
You don't care? You're just like, all your Miata motors are complete garbage. Everything Mazda, can you say all rotaries and all Mazda motors are complete garbage?
I would never run a rotary. I've not had good luck with Mazda motors. I don't know about saying complete garbage.
We're pissing off everybody on this channel. Because that is your channel, though. Do you ever think about that? Miata people flock to your channel.
That's okay.
And if you actively, because I'm one person that actively pisses off like half the drifters, because I'm not worried about it. You're like, Like, we just want good-natured, fun people. I don't want the people on the channel that are a pain.
Right.
I shouldn't say pain. Like, we're entertainers.
Yeah.
But it's just funny. Like, we're not Hager Garage. It's just like we're grassroots racing, drifting. You know, like it's whatever.
I care less about cars and more about drifting. So essentially, I just make this thing as best as I can to do the job. And I love the chassis. I'm not married to the driveline at all.
But so my point with that was, as Thomas Miata, you're actively pushing away Miata people from your channel. Do you ever think about that or no?
Well, you know, I do that with my BMW stuff too, and I do think about that, but that's totally fine. If you don't, don't go away mad, just go away.
Yeah, but you want your channel to grow. You are actively trying to get your channel to grow.
Yeah.
And Miatas are something that I don't think anybody that's not into Miatas cares about.
Yeah.
In fact, actively, probably a lot of car people look down about the car, so they wouldn't even look at the channel. So your channel, but at the same time, like the off-road Miatas are crazy popular right now. I don't understand that so much. Like, I guess just because they're so Instagrammable, they're so like eye-catching and cool. I'm just trying to think about your channel, and I try to think about the audience and entertaining them, and I guess you could also troll your audience, which is the Miata audience. Because how many Miata guys actually have V8s or want V8s, do you think?
A lot of people.
You're like all of them if they're
Miatas.
smart.
There's a whole Facebook page for that, and I mean, LS life, that LS swapped the world. So you get a lot of love just by having an LS, and then the Miata. I haven't gotten a lot of hate from any of the Miata guys. I mean, how many of those dudes are out there drifting a Miata like this?
Not many. Yeah, and Miatas are difficult to drift stock. They're fun, but it's really underpowered depending on what generation you have. Like the 1.6s are very weak.
Yeah.
They're like Corollas. It's an acquired taste.
My 1.6, I turboed it, and it was running about 15
naturally
pounds.
aspirated.
That's
a lot different with a turbo.
Yeah, it was better with a turbo, but still.
But the V8 is infinitely better.
I spent $9 grand turboing that thing, and it made 215 horsepower. Just like
that just like is kicking you while you're down kind of thing and insulting you. Because when you get done with that, you're like,
yeah.
Nah.
It got around the track, it did the job. But this thing is just so much better. And then you start with a V8 platform, and if you want to throw another 150 horsepower at it, you hit it with a little bit of nitrous. Done.
So I think the thumbnail of this is going to be Miata drivetrains suck. Or we could just do all Mazda drivetrains suck.
You're going to get a lot of hate for that one.
Yeah, that's the point. Okay, well, thank you so much for showing us around your car. Is there any other fun details you want to show? I showed a bunch before.
Obviously the engine, the quick change, the calipers are kind of neat, but that's not too special. They're just Willwood. Basically, they've been on the car since I got it from Jeff. And that's
did we also state that this is a Formula D car?
We did.
Okay.
The stickers are right here too on the actual cage still. You can still see FD tech stickers from the years past. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Car's seen a lot of drifting.
Okay, I think that's it. That was simple. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Boom. Oh, we don't know what to do. Here, come on, try that again. Oh, there we go.
East Coast life.
All right, yeah.